It is time for the grand finals of the TeamSpeak Team Liquid Open number 11. It's Liquid TLO, our Terran player, our random player, taking on WhiteRa, the ProDOS, and this is coming up next.
Welcome to TeamSpeak, advanced voice communication software for any platform. TeamSpeak allows groups of people to communicate and share information with anyone, via the internet or through private networks. Using your Windows, Mac or Linux-based computer, all you need is a headset with microphone, and in minutes you can be chatting with others in real time, using our crystal clear voice technology.
All right, it is time. Liquid TLO versus WhiteRa for the finals of the TeamSpeak Team Liquid Open number 11. It is game number 1. I'm DJ Wheat. Joining me is Wolf, and we have Liquid TLO spawning as the purple ProDOS. What? In the 2 o'clock position, and his opponent, WhiteRa, as the red ProDOS in the 7 o'clock position. A PvP on Xel'Naga Caverns. Awesome.
Definitely awesome. You know, everyone knows, or at least everyone who plays StarCraft, and not everyone watching plays, a lot of people just like to watch. Everyone who plays mirror matchup knows that it's a very stressful matchup. You hate playing it. You know, it's very, very intense, and if you get behind, it's almost impossible to catch up at times. And PvP, in my opinion, a lot of people disagree, is one of the most unforgiving matchups where, like, if you get a pylon, or you don't put your probes on gas right away, or just one little thing like that can mean you lose the entire game. So you have to be very, very careful in this matchup. And you know, if your opponent 4 gates and you don't, you have to be incredibly careful, because otherwise you can just lose because you didn't 4 gate. And it's almost really the standard for both players to 4 gate. So we'll see what these two do.
Yeah, of course, right now the advantage is kind of in TLO's favor. He knows he's ProDOS, and he knows his opponent is ProDOS, so he can kind of gear up for a build in that fashion. Assimilator's down for both players with the gateways on their way. WhiteRa is going to go ahead and be scouting here, and notice we have not seen a scout yet from TLO. He's going to drop down his first gateway, supporting pylon, and in comes WhiteRa to go, sweet. A mirror match, and there he is as he gets vision of what's going on. He sees Chrono Boost on the Nexus, getting those probes out as quickly as possible. TLO now going to send a probe out for scouting as the Cybernetics core goes down as well.
And WhiteRa going to steal a gas, takes that assimilator, and that's kind of interesting. When you see that, it kind of restricts what your opponent can do, because he can just try to get that Zealot chronoed out, as we see, and get rid of that gas, which, since you do see that chrono on the Zealot, it really is a telling sign that TLO really wants to use that gas on whatever build he has planned, and it's going to slow it down, and it just really limits what your opponent can do. But on the same hand, it does cost you 75 mils, so it delays your own second gas, so it's kind of a gamble. But usually when players do that, it means that they either want to pressure into an expansion, or want to win a game straight up with some sort of sneaky tech.
Yeah, and interesting here, WhiteRa is grabbing gas and then grabbing minerals and grabbing gas. Of course, it deducts from your overall amount, and if you go grab another one, it will get rid of what you just grabbed. And, you know, 10, 20 gas, is it really going to make that much of a difference? No. But, well, who knows? But it is kind of funny to just see him really try to maximize his advantage here. TLO did bring out a second Zealot rather than like a Zealot Stalker from that first gateway to get rid of that Cybernetics core. He's now taken that gas, and he's just checking around his base to make sure nothing crazy's going on. Meanwhile, second gateway down for WhiteRa. Looks like he's about ready to put something else down. A quick Twilight Council.
And TLO is throwing down a quick Stargate, which is basically, unfortunately for TLO, basically the direct counter to a quick Stargate is to get a Twilight Council and go for Blink Stalkers.
Yep. And
like I said, you know, when you steal that gas, it's sometimes a tell sign if it's going to be some sort of tech like Blink, because with Zealots only, or, you know, a more Zealot heavy composition, it's so much harder to deal. with those Blink Stalkers, and it looks like TLO going to pressure forward actually with his units here, and WhiteRa not having a whole lot to deal with this could find himself in some trouble here. In fact, a lot of trouble, as 2 Zealots going to start attacking this pylon right now. It's going to be tough. You might have to pull some probes to defend this, but nice target firing of the Stalker, and because he was able to do that, he should be able to out-micro these Zealots forever, although one Stalker does get trapped on the ramp and will go down to the Zealots. And another Stalker almost getting trapped, but basically TLO can't really do much else with these Zealots. He does see the Twilight Council, and he is going to come in here and try to force down some probes. Does get 1 probe, and a second one actually going to fall, maybe even a third. But WhiteRa controlling those probes, trying to get some away. Does get a third, but the Zealot will now go down. Actually gets a 4th.
Wow. Yeah, Zealot actually did some. Yeah, he did some pretty nice damage there. You know, I think that WhiteRa probably handled it pretty nicely. I think also we did see TLO see the Twilight Council, and then he probably saw it flash and doing its thing. See a chrono boost on it. Blink is almost done, and we have about 5 Stalkers moving out here. Now, what sort of army do we have? I really kind of like this, Wolf. We've got these Phoenixes here, which of course could immobilize these Blink Stalkers here, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Zealots are going to move forward, try to tank some of this damage. Phoenixes will come out, continue lifting. We will see Stalkers blinking backwards, but TLO handling this actually pretty nicely. Finally will have to move those Phoenixes out of the way. He's got a higher Stalker count. TLO manually having to micro those Stalkers back, and we do have the pylon out here for Duckload Ross. So will he be able to hold this off? Here are more lifts coming out there, and as long as those Phoenixes can stay alive, he might be able to minimize the damage here done by this rush.
Yeah, I think he's actually doing a great job of lifting those Stalkers up. And basically, he's just picking up 1 Stalker at a time, even allowing the Phoenix to fire so it can keep its energy. So just picking those 1 Stalkers up at a time, he knows he has like basically an advantage with his opponent having more Stalkers than he does. So he's going to be careful of this Blink right now. Going to try to force his way around the ramp. He has to be very careful. He's actually picking up the weakened Stalkers to make sure they can't blink back. So really nice control there by TLO. It's a very tense moment, but I think TLO will hold this.
Oh, I think absolutely. He's going to have a higher Stalker count. He still has that Phoenix, and just as you mentioned, pick up that weak Stalker. He can't blink. It's a guaranteed kill. And then also you have them there in case they do blink and might be on their retreat, and those Phoenixes can pick them up. Now, I'm a little surprised that TLO isn't actively attacking that pylon to try to stop this push, but he may also be comfortable. I think he's also got to be worrying a little bit. Well, hold on here. We got a Phoenix going out here, and that's the thing I was wondering about. What is my opponent doing? Is he trying to expand outside of this? And he will find out that no, there is no expansion, so he can probably be a little bit more comfortable in the scenario that he is in. We did see a Twilight Council. Ooh, look at that, a Dark Shrine coming out for TLO.
Now, TLO is actually making, WhiteRa is also making a Dark Shrine at the same time. So this is actually a situation that people find themselves in PvP a lot when their opponent doesn't go for robotics tech, because they're thinking like, oh, I'm going to use this advantage, and both players end up doing it. So basically it all comes down to who gets the cannons up first, and it looks like TLO will, because his forge is about 90% done, and I don't even think that that WhiteRa will be able to do anything with those Dark Templar. His shrine is not going to finish in time before those cannons. He's going to try to warp up onto the high ground, use the Blink Stalkers, maybe for vision, get a Dark Templar up there, but it's not going to work. 2 Dark Templar coming in, but all TLO has to do is hold position his Stalkers or force field, and he force fields those out. The cannons will finish, and that win with this TLO will win this series, or with this game rather, I believe, rather quickly.
Oh, he's got to make sure he gets another force field down on the ramp right now. WhiteRa is pretty much throwing away a lot of those units, trying to get those DTs in, and he is not going to pay off as the cannon comes up and the DTs get just mowed down. And then look at that, 300 minerals just basically out there as well. 1 DT did slip in, and there is the GG. As TLO with some great Protoss defense there. You know, we had talked about the direct counter with the Stargate and the Blink Stalkers, but TLO, whether he realized it or not, showing us that Phoenixes can be used even better in a PvP situation too. I really loved the picking up of the Stalkers and maximizing his damage that way. That was awesome.